The Tantra of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, translated by the Dharmachakra Translation Committee under the patronage and supervision of 84,000 translating the words of the Buddha, and read by Angus Cargill. Chapter 7. Revitalizing the Body. Then the goddess said, "The fatigue of any person practicing sexual intercourse would be great. Please deign to explain, O Lord, for everybody's sake, how to remove this fatigue." The Lord said, "When one has noticed with one's own senses that the pleasure given by the woman has died out, one should eat fish and meat and drink wine, being focused. Other food, too, is available, boiled grain and so on, milk and water. First he should give to the woman, and eat only what has been left by her. One should always eat from her dish of leftovers. One should drink the water with which she washes her mouth, and the water with which she washes her lotus. One should take the water with which she washes her anus, and rinse one's mouth with it, and so on. One should also eat her vomit and her excreta, and one should drink water born from her vulva, and eat lumps of her phlegm. Just as after applying compost the tree will bear more fruit, in exactly the same way, by partaking of these impurities, people will obtain the genuine fruit of pleasure. For such people there is neither old age, nor disease, nor death. Whoever applies himself to these impurities will succeed, even if he does not practice yoga. One should never think whether something is edible or not. Likewise, a yoga adept should not think in terms of something being proper or improper to do, or someone being suitable or unsuitable for making love to. There is neither merit nor sin. One should not think about higher realms or liberation. Instead, one should remain of one nature with innate joy, well focused. The yogin who practices yoga in this way, wholly devoted to his meditation and maintaining the right identification through the practice of being one with Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, would not be stained by sin, even if he were to kill 100 Brahmins. One should therefore meditate on Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, a protector such as described, and violent acts that would lead ordinary people to hell will, when joined with this skillful means, lead him to liberation without a doubt. All this is preceded by mind, and judged non-virtuous or virtuous. Forms created by the mind vary according to one's place of birth. In the same way that, if one eats a poison not incanted with the mantra, one's life will wane. But after incanting the same poison with a mantra, one's happiness and lifespan will increase. Then at that moment, the Supreme Goddess, perfection of wisdom, with a knife and a skull cup in her hands, and with Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa as the seal upon her head, Vajra fierce, very angry, spoke these highest words: "Meditating on my form, and identifying perfectly with me, she will not be stained by sin, even if she should kill 100 Brahmins. Having assumed my form, with great wrath alone in her mind, the Yoginī may kill fish and birds, and she will not be stained. For all women are generally without compassion, fickle and irritable, with their thoughts on the profits derived from killing. For their sake, this explanation was made." Thus concludes the chapter on revitalizing the body, the seventh in the glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called the Soul Hero. Chapter 8. Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa's Nature. Then the Lord made full prostrations to the goddess and said, "How should a yogin perceive your form, dear? and by what means should the goddess be honored by the yogins? The goddess then said, whenever a female form is seen in the world of the three abodes, it should be regarded as my form, be it of low or respectable family. A goddess or demigoddess, or a yakshini, a rakshasi, a nagini, a bhutini, a kinnari, or a human girl, a gandharvi, even a female hell being, a she-animal, a female hungry ghost, a woman from the priestly, warrior, or merchant caste, or a peasant woman, or one of endless other groups, a scribe, a princess, a woman of distinction, a tax collector, a merchant, a guard, a prostitute, a boatwoman, a leather worker, a kulatrini, a hatrini, a musician, a sweeper, also a tribeswoman, a washerwoman, a wine merchant, a perfume seller, a labourer, a barber, a dancer, a bronzesmith, a goldsmith, a fisherwoman, a marriage arranger, also a pot maker, a garland maker, a female kapalika, also a conch worker, a parasol maker, a house builder, a cowherd, a fletcher, a beetle seller, a butcher, a stoneworker, a carpenter, also a hairdresser, a woman of any mixed caste, a mother, a sister, a wife, a maternal aunt, a niece, a paternal aunt, also a mother-in-law, and any other woman of any caste, a lay vow-holder, also a yogini, or a widow, or a female ascetic. These and all other women possess my form. They exist for the welfare of all beings, each identified by her own individual function. Among them, whichever woman one may obtain, she should be served by the yogin with kisses, embrace, and the like, and with the union of the vajra and the lotus. Women who are served will, for their part, instantly grant accomplishment to all those seeking to benefit living beings. One should, therefore, serve women. Women are heaven, women are the Dharma, and women are truly the supreme austerity. Women are the Buddha, women are the Sangha, women are the perfection of wisdom. They can be divided according to the 5 colors, with their names assigned accordingly. A woman who is of blue color has been proclaimed as hatred Vajri. A woman who is white is known to be delusion Vajri. A woman who is yellow is the goddess calumny Vajri. A woman who is pink is said to be passion Vajri. A woman who is dark green is said to be envy Vajri. There is only one goddess, wisdom, abiding in 5 forms. One should worship her with flowers, incense, and so forth. Clothes, prose, poetry, body ornaments, conversation, bowing, folding one's hands, beholding and touching her, thinking of her, and talking to her. With kissing, embrace, and the like, one should regularly worship Vajra Yoginī. If one is able, one should honor her physically. If not, one should do so verbally or mentally. Worshipped by him, pleased, I shall grant complete attainment. I am none other than the form found in every woman's body. Apart from worshipping women, there can be no other worship of me. By this propitiation I will be satisfied, for the sake of the practitioner's accomplishment. Everywhere, always, and invariably, I will be within his sight. One should make love to one's woman, visualizing her in my complete form. By the union of Vajra and Lotus, I grant awakening. Therefore, if someone wholly dedicated to propitiating me in all forms should commit theft or kill living beings, if one should speak false words, break deity statues, or eat food belonging to the Sangha, to a stupa, or to someone else, the practitioner who is dedicated to propitiating me will not be stained by sin. He may crush with his fingernail a louse in his clothes, even kill it. Through this very means a lay vow-holder will propitiate me. He should neither be afraid of non-virtue, nor of difficult rebirths in hell and so on. He should, however, be afraid of people for as long as he does not obtain power. There is no evil whatsoever, nor is there any merit. The conventional distinction between virtue and non-virtue is for ordinary people to be guarded in their minds. Since everything is only mind, and its duration is only momentary, who is it that goes to hell, and who is it that goes to heaven? Just as one meets one's death in distress, thinking that it is caused by poison, even when there is no poison, so too one goes to heaven or the lower realms. Nirvana is attained by the wise ones as the result of a complete understanding of the way things are. Nirvana has the nature of emptiness, like that of a candle blown out by the wind. But when it is interrupted, one goes on suffering. One does not attain the level of awakening. Therefore, having renounced everything, a vow-holder should only propitiate me. I grant instantaneously the accomplishment of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, there is no doubt. Then the Lord said to the goddess Perfection of Wisdom, of what form is Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, and of what kind is his accomplishment? The goddess said, the Yoginis are said to be of 5 types, corresponding to the 5 colors, and they have their respective husbands according to the division of 5 colors. And in truth, each of them is Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa. They will now be described by me, the Yoginī. The husband who is of blue color is known as blue akala. The husband who is of white color, he is called white akala. The husband who is of yellow color, he is said to be yellow akala. The husband who is of pink color, he is said to be red akala. The husband who is of dark green color, he is said to be green akala. There is only one Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, abiding in 5 forms. He is called Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, as his accomplishment is unflagging. Until the farthermost reaches of space, there is in the divine form his presence. Just as the accomplishment of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa is described here, so too can the accomplishment of Kandi be gained. Thus concludes the chapter on Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa's nature, the 8th in the glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called the Soul Hero. Chapter 9. Meditation. Then the goddess said, how, O Lord, should the wisdom and the means, the woman and the man, cultivate their identification with the deities? The Lord said, a yogin should place the woman in front and look deeply in her eyes. He should make his body straight and meditate with one-pointed mind. Because of the nature of the 4 bodies, there is no separation, not even in the slightest. However, without understanding, a distinction is perceived between wisdom and means. Death is said to be the Dharmachakra. Sambhogakaya is the intermediate state after death. Nirmanakaya has the form of the 6 modes of existence. The pleasure of sex is great bliss. This male form, in the 3 realms, has the nature of the 4 bodies. The female form in the 3 realms also has the nature of the 4 bodies. The man is the Buddha, because he has the nature of the 4 bodies. The woman, present in all directions, is the perfection of wisdom. The man should do the deity identification in the following way. I am an accomplished one, abiding in my own nature, the nature of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa. My lover is an accomplished being in every way. having fully assumed the form of Kandi. In this way, should one meditate with reverence for a long time, understanding this reality. Having abandoned all activity, wholly devoted to serving women, one should remain with one's mind focused solely on pleasure, until one attains accomplishment. When the yogin has attained accomplishment, he will become pure and unassailable. He is invisible to people when merged with the prana mind. Omniscient, omnipresent, all-pervading, free from all afflictions, for him there is no disease nor old age. Death does not exist for him. Poison has no effect on him, nor does water nor wind. Neither weapons nor enemy hordes can ever prevail over him. Yet all the objects of desire arise for him merely through a mental wish. At that moment, one becomes effortlessly the same as a wish-fulfilling gem. In all the realms of the world, wherever one may happen to be, there palaces will arise for him with all desired things. Delightful heavenly women, adorned with beauty and youth as numerous as stars in the sky, will without doubt be his. The gods such as Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, Shakra, Kamadeva and so forth, will be his servants, and so will all the beings living in the 6 realms. Just as the yogins attain accomplishment, in exactly the same way do the yoginis. The men have the form of Vajradhara, the women that of the Vajra woman. Then the goddess said, "In what way, O Lord, does great bliss arise in the body through the union of wisdom and means?" The Lord said, "The Lalana channel, with the nature of wisdom, is located on the left, and the Rasana, with the nature of means, is located on the right. In the center, between the Lalana and the Rasana, is located the Avaduti. When the wind in the Avaduti has become of the same essence with semen, it will descend from the fontanelle of the skull, passing through the opening of the penis, inside the bhaga of the woman. By the union of the wisdom and the means, Kandali, who is located at the navel, burns like a lamp. Through this, the best semen is caused to flow. Through this arises a lesser bliss, if the effort applied is small. With big effort, the bliss is intense, for this is the nature of things. Whoever can engender this bliss through regular practice will become glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa in this very life." This concludes the chapter on meditation, the 9th in the glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called The Soul Hero. Chapter 10. In Praise of Women. Then the goddess said, "Is it possible, O Lord, to attain the level of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa even without a woman, or is it not possible?" The Lord replied, "It is not possible, O goddess." The goddess said, "Is it impossible, O Lord, because bliss does not arise?" The Lord said, "The highest awakening is not attained merely by the arising of bliss. Only by the arising of a particular kind of bliss can it be reached, not otherwise. And this bliss is not felt without doing what needs to be done. It is produced only through the right cause, and the cause is union with a woman. There is no other cause ever. Among all illusions, only the illusion of a woman is praised. Whoever would transgress against her will not attain accomplishment. Therefore, separation from women must never take place. So if there should occur suffering, death, bondage, or fear, one should put up with all of this, rather than abandon a woman, since all women can cause one to attain Buddhahood by means of the 4 joys. Without modesty, fickle, impudent, wholly in pursuit of desires, yet they alone grant accomplishment. They should be served with all one's being. What can be said of the nature of woman? They can even die from love by merely being separated from their husbands. What more can be said than this? Therefore, all women should be viewed as goddesses on all occasions. Even wood, stone, and other objects should be imagined in one's mind as such. For a woman, the man is a deity. For a man, the woman is a deity. They should honor each other by uniting the Vajra and the lotus. No other god should one worship, allowing him to take control. Therefore, the yogin, filled with compassion, should set up the mandala in front. Then he should lead the woman there in her form, which is none other than perfection of wisdom. One must worship her with flowers, lamps, incense, and so forth. Later, one should pay obeisance to her, prostrating with one's whole body. Then one should circumambulate her clockwise. This will complete the worship of Kandi. In the same way, a woman should worship a man with respect and with the mind filled with devotion. She should perform the worship in reciprocity, as has been taught by the victorious ones. One must not scold a woman, nor can one abandon her when being asked for a favor. One should speak nice words and give her things according to need. One should praise her with all one's heart, so that she does not perceive one as a villain. One must never abandon a woman, wherever one may be, after hearing this teaching of the Buddha. Whoever should act otherwise, that evildoer will end up in hell. Apart from causing his own death, does he achieve anything by separating himself from women? This practice of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa can never be accomplished by religious austerities. It would be fruitless due to the net of delusion. The pure mind would be blocked. A lover must not abandon lust, lest he would be living a lie. By living a lie, evil is incurred, and from evil, a rebirth in hell. He who lives a lie will meet his death, there is no doubt. Through this lust alone, accomplishment is won. Only through lust by the sons of the victorious ones. So one should not torment oneself with austerities, abandoning the 5 sense objects. One should notice beauty as it comes along, and listen to the sound. One should smell the odor and savor the supreme taste. One should experience the sensation of touch, pursuing the 5 types of sense objects. One will quickly become awakened, being wholly devoted to Caṇḍa-rosha. There is no greater deception and no greater delusion than a man spending his entire youth without bringing enjoyment to women. No reward will be yours to see, but you will have incurred the greatest loss. Those who are wholly devoted to desire serve their lovers regularly. Having seen that the seat of Caṇḍa-rosha is nestled within the vulva of a woman, how would they be able to sleep, eat, or laugh if they abandoned it? In order to destroy the wickedness of the world, the son of Mayadevi, the wise teacher, abandoned his 84,000 wives and his entire harem and went to the bank of Niranjana. He manifested the accomplishment of a Buddha by turning away the advancing Maras, but this was not so from the perspective of the absolute truth. This was not so since it was in the female quarters that the Buddha, experiencing pleasure in the company of Gopa, became accomplished. It is from the union of the Vajra and the lotus that true pleasure is derived. Awakening is attained through pleasure, and there is no pleasure in being separated from women. However, he who enacts separation in order to remove the wickedness of the world, namely the victorious master of illusory displays, enacts his part in that very form, through which the people will come to him, the Awakened One, for guidance. By criticizing women in all the sutra and abhidharma literature, he would teach different levels of training, his words concealing the truth. He would also explain nirvana as being the result of the cessation of the 5 aggregates. Then the Blessed Lady Prajnaparamita said, "Who is that Blessed One, the son of Mayadevi, and who is Gopa?" The Blessed Lord said, "I am the son of Mayadevi, who has now become Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, and you are the Blessed Lady Gopa, in the form of Prajnaparamita. As many women as there are, all are known to possess your form. Men, on the other hand, are all said to be endowed with my form. So also does this world exist in a twofold mode, being of the nature of wisdom and means." The Blessed Lady then said, "Why, O Lord, do the listeners and their like belittle women?" The Blessed Lord said, "They all abide in the realm of desire, those who are called listeners and so forth. They do not know the path to liberation, and always see the woman as an ordinary being. In a situation where saffron and so on is close by and easy to obtain, it is not fit for a welcome offering. What is far away, however, is suitable for a great welcome offering. Because of their ignorance that had no beginning, those people are devoid of faith. They do not turn their minds to the truth. I, for my part, have concealed it very well. But still, during this dark age, if there is any being among the infinite numbers, counted one by one, for whom devotion and exertion are paramount, it is for the sake of that being that I have explained all this, for the sake of its swift attainment of awakening." Thus concludes the chapter on the praiseworthiness of women, the 10th in the glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called the Soul Hero. Chapter 11. The Universality of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa. Then the Blessed Lady said, "Are you, O Lord, with or without passion?" The Blessed Lord said, "I am everyone, and I pervade everything, creating everything and destroying everything. I possess all forms. I am the Awakened One. I am the Creator, the Destroyer, a powerful Lord full of bliss. Through whatever form beings may be guided, in that very form I abide for the benefit of the world. Sometimes I am the Buddha, sometimes a Siddha, sometimes the Dharma, sometimes the Sangha, sometimes a hungry ghost, sometimes an animal. Sometimes I assume the form of a hell being. Sometimes I am a god, sometimes a demigod. Sometimes I assume a human form, sometimes the form of an inanimate object. I possess all forms, there is no doubt. I am a woman and also a man. Sometimes I have a genderless form. Sometimes I am affectionate, sometimes hateful, sometimes deluded, sometimes pure. Sometimes I have an impure form. I exist essentially as mind. It is my mind that is perceived. Nothing else exists at all. I can be categorized as a thing or a no thing. I am one that can be generated, and also one who generates. I am an obstacle, and I am an accomplishment, abiding in every form. I am birth, and I am death. I am disease, and I am old age. I am virtue, and I am non-virtue. And I am the karmic result of these two. This entire world consists of the Awakened One, and all these forms are of myself. They should be known as forms, in essence the same, by the yogins reflecting on truth. Then the Blessed Lady said, "Are these forms only of you?" The Blessed Lord said, "Such forms are of yourself as well, All that has been explained. All this is permeated by you, the inanimate and animate worlds. Thus concludes the chapter of the universality of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, the 11th in the glorious Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called the Soul Hero. Chapter 12. Mantra Rituals. Then the Blessed Lady said, "Please explain about applying mantras, the pacifying and the enriching, the practices of enthralling and summoning, the killing, the driving away, and so forth, the removing of poison, the removing of disease, the stopping of a fire or a sword, also the victory in battle, and the most eminent scholarship. The sadhana of yakshinis that induces them into service, the sadhanas of dutas and bhutas, these skills and arts of many types, please explain them to me, O Lord, with a firm motive." The Blessed Lord said, "One established in the absorption of Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa should take up the practice of mantra. First, one should practice the essence. It comprises 10 letters with inherent vowels. It is called the root mantra. It brings the accomplishment of all mantras. Wherever it is written, good fortune will be present. Whoever has others recite it for him, his sins will be completely removed. By merely remembering this mantra, the maras will flee in the 10 directions. One should, therefore, with every effort, strive for mastery of this mantra." At that moment, all wicked beings, bhutas, pretas, vyadas, yakshas, kumbhandas, mahoragas, and so forth, are made to flee. All the vyadas become frightened, all the grahas are burned by the power of the mantra's light rays. All the siddhas come into one's presence. Now comes the sadhana. One should recite the mantra 100,000 times, completing in this way the preliminary practice. Then, starting on the first day of the dark fortnight, one should recite every day at the 3 junctions of the day until the full moon day. Then, at the end, one should recite the whole night, offering a great puja from sunset until sunrise. This mantra will then be mastered. From then on, one can accomplish all actions. Now comes the sadhana of Lord Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa. One should commission someone to paint the Lord on canvas, as before in the center of the 4-cornered mandala. One should have the conviction that the Lord is of the nature of the 10 syllables. Sitting in front of the image, starting on the first day of the dark fortnight, one should recite the mantra 100,000 times at each of the 3 junctions. Then, at the end, at the time of the full moon, one should offer a puja according to one's means, and then recite from sunset till sunrise. Then terrors will arise, but one should not fear. One should recite quickly, very quickly. Then the Lord Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa will come himself. One should then make a welcome offering of water for his feet, prostrate oneself, and stand up. Lord Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa will ask, "What boon shall I grant you?" The sadhaka should reply, "Grant me the state of awakening." Then the Lord will enter his body. As soon as he enters, the sadhaka obtains the bodily form of a 16-year-old and the 6 super knowledges. He becomes the master of the 13th bodhisattva level, living in a celestial mansion with a retinue of hundreds of thousands of apsarases gracing him. He obtains an enduring form, becomes omniscient, and just like the Lord Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa. Alternatively, one should request, according to one's wish, the magical power of the sword, the ointment for invisibility, magical pills, shoes for sky travel, foot ointment for fast walking, a kingdom, superhuman potency for sensual gratification, knowledge of spells, wealth, poetic skill, learning, yakshas, yakshinis, longevity elixir, philosopher's stone, the knowledge of alchemy, and so forth. The Lord will give all of this. Or else one could commission someone to paint Soul Hero on a canvas and practice as before. Here, in the painting of Soul Hero, black Akala is embraced by hatred Vajri, white Akala by delusion Vajri, yellow Akala by calumny Vajri, red Akala by passion Vajri, and green Akala should be painted embraced by envy Vajri. Or else the Lord should be painted alone without a consort. As another option, the Blessed Lady should be painted on the canvas alone in the center, between the 5 Akalas. Then, imagining oneself as having the form of her husband, one should make her the object of one's practice as previously described. Or, imagining one's own wife as having the form of the goddess, one should do the practice. Being accomplished, she can grant even the state of awakening, let alone other accomplishments. Or one should do the practice of the Lord standing with his left leg outstretched and the right slightly bent, and holding a sword and a noose. Or one should do the practice of innate Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, sitting in the sattva pariyanka posture and holding a sword and a noose in his hands, with his wisdom consort of the same color pressed against his chest. The resulting accomplishment will be as previously described, and so also would be the accomplishment involving the Lord painted on canvas. Alternatively, one can also perform this practice using statues made of wood and so on. When the practice involves the sword, one should, when the moon is in the asterism of Pusha, clean the sword, one made of either quality iron or hard wood, with the 5 products of a cow, and then anoint it with every fragrance. One should grasp it with both hands and recite the mantra at the 3 junctions of the day for 1 month. At the end of the month, one should offer extensive worship and recite for the entire night. In the morning, the sword will burst into flames. One then becomes the holder of the magical power of the sword, with the bodily form of a 16-year-old with curled hair. One enjoys the 5 sense objects until the end of samsara. In the same way, one should practice with a vajra scepter, a wheel, a trident, and so on, and so also with a noose made of copper and so on. Similarly, with cloth shoes, a Brahmanical cord, clothes, a parasol, a Prajna Paramita text, a Tantra text, and so forth. So too one can practice with a pataha drum, a madala drum, a lute, and so forth. In the same way, one should practice with a golden yaksha, starting with Jambala, Manibhadra, Punabhadra, and Kibikundalin. They will carry out one's every command. In the same way, one should practice with a Gandhava made of bamboo, a Garuda made of ant-hill clay, the gods Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshvara, Indra, Kamadeva, and so forth, made of deodar tree, a Rakshasa drawn with charcoal from the charnel ground, a Preta drawn with potash of a burnt goldfish, a human made of beeswax, Ganapati made of ivory, the Pishaka Pilupala made of the wood of toothbrush tree, the Dakinis Gauri, Kauri, and so forth, drawn with potash of burnt pravala fish, the Vetalas Ramadeva, Kamadeva, and so forth, made of human bone, the Nagas Vasuki, and so forth, also the Naginis made of Naga Keshara wood, and the Yakshinis Hariti, Surasundari, Nata, Ratipriya, Shama, Nati, Padmini, Anuragini, Kandrakanta, Brahmaduhita, Vadu, Kameshvari, Revati, Alokini, Naravira, and so forth, made of the wood of the Ashoka tree. One should practice with these. One should practice with the chief queen and the king made of banyan wood, and with the group of apsarasis, Tilotama, Shashidevi, Kanchamala, Kundalaharini, Aramba, Urvashi, Sribhushani, Rati, Shaki, and so forth, made of deodar wood. In the same way, one should do the practice of the 9 planets, the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. Similarly, the practice of the Bodhisattvas, starting with Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, and Manjushri. Likewise, the practice of the Buddhas, starting with Vipassin and Sikhin. So too the practice of the Bhuttas, starting with Aparajita. Also the messengers, starting with Yamari. Similarly, the servants, starting with Vajrakamkala. In the same way, one should do the practice of all beings, women and men. All of them will carry out one's orders. Now, if one does not succeed the first time, one should do it for the second time. If this is likewise unsuccessful, one should do it for the third time. If one does not succeed, even then due to previously committed evil acts, then, standing astride with one's left knee and right foot on the ground, one should recite the mantra until one succeeds. After this, even a slayer of a Brahmin would succeed. For the above practices of a Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, the following mantras apply. Om Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, Kam, Hom Pat. If practicing with the sword and so on, one should add, make such and such respond to my practice. When placing the feet astride, one should add, kill such and such, kill. In this way, with a single recitation, one burns even the 5 inexpiable actions. One should add, destroy all my evil. In this way, by a mere utterance, one effects the protection from all fears. One should add, protect me, protect. In this way, one effects protection in every respect. Then, visualizing the iron as if ablaze, one should incant mustard seeds, mung beans, or masha pulses with one's personal mantra 108 times. One should then strike them as they are being seized by dakinis and other beings. They will all flee. At the time of striking, one should add the mantra, make the dakinis and the rest go away. Then one should write the mantra with chalk inside an 8-petaled lotus and cover it with a lid in a pair of vessels of unbaked clay. One should wrap this in a fisherman's net and have it suspended in a doorway. This effects protection of children. One should add the mantra, protect the child, protect. One should make a beeswax effigy of the target, 4 finger-widths high. One should inscribe the mantra on birch bark, place it in the effigy's heart, and strike the spot with black mustard seeds or similar substances. One should then nail the mouth with a thorn. The mouth of the opponent will be sealed. One should then add the mantra, nail the mouth of such and such. One should bury the effigy at a crossroads. Similarly, one should nail the feet, which will stop the target from moving about. One should add the mantra, nail the feet of such and such. One should nail the heart, as this will immobilize the target's body. One should then add the mantra, nail the heart of such and such. Whichever limbs one nails with a nail of human bone, or an iron one, or a withered thorn, those limbs will become weak and in great pain. One should add the mantra, nail such and such body part of such and such a person. By burying the effigy at someone's entrance door, one will make the resident homeless. One should add the mantra, make such and such homeless. By throwing incanted ashes from a charnel ground at someone's doorway, one will expel him. One should add the mantra, expel such and such. Having incapacitated the effigy with thorns, one should recite the mantra, one should add the mantra, kill such and such. Having used one's personal mantra to incant a sword or the like 108 times, one should engage in battle. One will meet with victory. For whatever purpose one dedicates an oblation, that purpose will have a successful outcome. Having incanted a peacock's feather with 108 recitations of one's personal mantra, one should brush the place affected by a bad disease or sickness. One should add the mantra, destroy such and such disease of such and such a person. There will be an appeasement of all ailments. In the same way, one should rub a snake bite wound with the palms of the hands. One should add the mantra, destroy the poison in such and such. This will destroy the poison. Likewise, one should contemplate a person who is one's target as enthralled, being at one's service, paying a visit at one's own place, naked with dishevelled hair, in front of oneself. Visualizing him as fallen to one's feet, one should recite the mantra. Then the enthrallment will take place. One should add the mantra, bring such and such to the state of enthrallment. In the same way as before, one should recite the mantra while contemplating him as being drawn toward oneself. The target will be brought into one's presence. One should add the mantra, draw such and such into my presence. Visualizing oneself as being completely flush with valuables and grains, one should recite the mantra. One should add the mantra, bring prosperity to me. One should write this mantra with a thorn on a betel leaf in the center of a space delimited by 2 intersecting triangles and chew the betel together with 5 grains of black pepper. One should add the mantra, destroy all the fevers. At the time of a lunar or solar eclipse, one should fill a bowl with rice cooked with milk or curd, adding sugar and clarified butter. One should place that on top of 7 leaves from the Bodhi tree and cover it with another 7 leaves. Holding it up with both hands, one should recite the mantra for as long as one is not liberated. By eating it, one will live for 500 years. Following the same procedure, one should imbue with efficaciousness yellow orpiment, the pigment of bovine gallstones, realgar, or lampblack. If it bursts into flames, one will become a vidyadhara by applying it as a tilaka on one's forehead or an ointment. If it produces smoke, one will attain invisibility. If it releases heat, an enthrallment will take place. Alternatively, one should commission someone to make from the wood of cobra saffron the king of Nagas, Ananta. Having submerged him face down in water, one should recite the mantra while looking into the sky. One should employ the mantra, seize Ananta, seize, cause him to send rain. The god will then send rain. Then one should take Ananta out of the water, bathe him in milk, and release him. Then, gazing at the clouds, one should recite the mantra. One should add the mantra, stop all the wind and rain. These were the rites belonging to the first root mantra, which consists of 10 letters with their inherent vowels. These rites belong also to the second and third root mantras, and only these rites belong to the heart mantras. One should write the first garland mantra with a thorn on an umbrella tree leaf and wrap it using blue cloth and blue string. Placing one's left foot on the head, arm, throat, or shoulder of a person suffering from fever, one should tie this amulet there, saying, "With my angry mind, I will destroy the fever of such and such a person." This will destroy all fevers. At the time of tying the amulet, one should make the sick person face east and lustrate him with a bowl full of grilled fish, rice, wine, and so forth. One should say, "After eating this, may all fevers and diseases quickly go away." Lord Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa is ordering this. If you don't go away, then the Lord, angered, will chop you up with a sharp sword into smithereens as small as sesame seeds. After saying this, one should offer an oblation in the southwestern quarter. The sick person will then become well. In the same way, an oblation should be offered in the event of any disease, attacks by dakinis, or other misfortunes. One effects protection from all types of fear merely by reciting the mantra. Moreover, saying the root mantra will accomplish all. Only this ritual belongs to the second garland mantra. One should incant a cake of leftovers with the third garland mantra and offer it. This will bring fulfillment of wishes. One should incant a cake of rice and offer it at evening twilight in a secluded place. Then any objective one aims for will be accomplished. The remaining part of the ritual is as before. Following the method previously described, one should start on the first day of the bright fortnight and proceed as before until the day of the full moon. The preliminary practice is completed with 10,000 recitations of the garland mantras. These rites, as was the case with the rites belonging to the root mantra, call for deity-specific mantras. Just as the mantra rituals of the Lord are to be performed, so also are they to be performed for the goddesses. In particular, through reciting, poetic and scholarly skills will quickly arise. Now comes the ritual involving the third root mantra. One should climb onto one's bed and, holding one's penis with the left hand, recite 108 times. Whoever's name one includes in the mantra, she will arrive. One should make love to her. The mantra to recite is Om Vauhari, may such and such come to me, Hum Pat. Having drawn a vulva on the ground with red chalk, one should cover the drawing with one's left hand and recite the mantra 108 times. Whoever's name one includes in the mantra, she will arrive. One should incant mustard seeds 7 times and strike a person with them. He will become free from disease. One can also perform this mentally. Having incanted water, one should strike. Blood will flow. Having incanted clothes, one should put them on. One will become dear to all people. Any person into whose food or drink one puts incanted salt will become enthralled. Any person around whose neck one ties a rope made of cow's hair, having first incanted this rope, will become a cow. Whoever's name one recites while facing the sun, one will bring that person into one's presence. Any person around whose neck one ties a rope made of cat's hair will become a cat. By using a rope made of crow's sinews, that person will become a crow. With a rope of man's hair, a woman will become a man. With a rope of woman's hair, a man will become a woman. In this way, with whoever's hair the rope is made, the target will turn into that respective form. Whoever's name one should recite, one will draw that person's blood. Whoever one looks at with unblinking eyes while reciting the mantra, that person will become enthralled. These were the rites belonging to the mantra of the goddess. One should offer an oblation with the oblation mantra. All the obstacles in the form of calamities, disease, and the like will be pacified. In whatever endeavor one may be involved, one should offer an oblation, and one will succeed in it. A bowl with white flowers, another one with milk, another with perfumed water, and another with rice. These 4 bowls and an offering of the main and auxiliary fruits, one should incant them in the quiet of the night by reciting 108 times, Om Caṇḍamahāroṣaṇa, take this oblation, take. Accomplish my task, Hum Pat. Having incarnated, one should offer them in solitude. One's wishes will come true. Then, with 108 recitations of the root mantra of the Lord, one should rub white mustard oil inside the bhaga of a pregnant woman and also make her drink it. She will give birth with ease. By dressing a wound with this oil alone, the wound will heal. All these things can also be achieved by ingesting this oil. One should write the first garland mantra on birch bark in the center of a 16-petaled lotus. One should wrap it with a blue cord and wear it on one's body. One will be protected at all times. One should write the mantra with the pigment of bovine gallstones or red lac. This method can also be employed with the second garland mantra. So also can the methods described in other tantras and practice manuals be employed here. In the same way, all endeavors of a yogin who relies on meditative cultivation will be successful. Thus concludes the chapter on all the rites involving mantras, 12th in the glorious Mahāroṣaṇa Tantra, called the Soul Hero.